The 6 key financial decisions you need to make now so you can get ahead in your retirement plans and have confidence for the future. I'm Tracy Capelman. Join me right now for your Wealth Health. Hello and welcome to your Wealth Health, the show focused on helping you manage your money. I'm your host, Tracy Capelman, here once again with the founder and CEO of Hilltop Wealth Solutions, Eric Brenner. Eric is a certified financial planner. He has worked with hundreds of clients on planning for retirement and achieving their goals. He has nearly 30 years of experience, and he can do the same for you. Because he's so passionate about what he does, he also shares some free advice to everybody through this show. Now, this week, we are going to talk about 6 key financial decisions that will get you ahead in your retirement for 2021. For many people, retirement age kind of sneaks up on them. And too often, these people tend to look back and discover that, gee, if I had done things a little differently with my finances, I'd be much better off. Eric, 2021 has been a roller coaster of a year for jobs. For some people, they've had industry highs and lows, financial difficulties, everything in between, and it's probable that many people were just trying to survive and temporarily lost sight of their long-term goals. But planning for retirement comes naturally to you, and you're also highly trained and you want to help people. So what's the first decision we are going to discuss today?
Yeah, so the first one I wanted to discuss today is to invest in your retirement. And I don't necessarily mean invest money-wise, although that's good. You need to make sure that, for whatever it is you want in retirement, you invest there. But also to learn, to educate yourself. You don't need to know everything about retirement planning, but really to take an interest in it. And as you mentioned earlier, you don't want to look back and say, I wish I would have done this. To really take an interest in it and say that, we can make a difference. I can make a difference in my life and really get me to where I want to go in retirement, whatever that looks like.
Now, Eric, according to a recent survey from Fidelity, 55% of Americans said their retirement goals have been delayed by at least 2 years as a result of the pandemic. And more than 20% said it will take them at least 4 years to get back on track.
Yeah, and I think that study is very interesting, that certainly when the pandemic hit, people were reassessing and saying, oh my gosh, this is just going to delay me. Now, it would be interesting to, if we continue to see economic growth, where that would go in the future. But those that already had a plan in place, and, we talked to obviously many of our clients when this pandemic started, and, we told them that, look, we have put in for the ups and downs. We're just not on a thin line here. So you're going to be okay. And, let's not make decisions based on emotion. I talk about that all the time. And you're going to be okay. We just need to get through this period of time and then really talk about it. And now I've been having many conversations with my clients that are close to retirement or going to retire, and they're not putting it off. So I think, again, investing in the retirement, understanding it, and making sure that they have a plan in place.
Yeah, so much to think about, and grateful for professionals who have more know-how, who can guide us through the good and bad times alike. Now, the second important financial decision you want to discuss today is to determine your net worth. First, explain to our audience what an individual's net worth consists of. And I'm curious about this too. I don't know how to figure it out myself.
Okay, so a net worth is you basically take what you own, subtract out what you owe. So you've got your assets, properties, vehicles, your investments, bank accounts, things of that nature. And then you subtract out your liabilities, what your car loans, mortgage, other debt. And that gets you a net worth. Okay. And a net worth is something that a net worth needs to be different for different people. Some people need a $500,000 net worth, and some people need a $5 million net worth. But when you get into business and analyzing businesses, this is what we really do is What do you own versus what you owe? That gets you a net worth. And there will be a point in time where your net worth will be self-sustainable, and the self-sustainable means that you're going to have enough. You're in a good position going forward, that even when we get into things like the pandemic, things will still be okay.
And that was a great explanation. Tell our viewers, exactly why it's important to really know that net worth.
I look at it as a scorecard, Tracy. You really, we track it with clients, and, as it grows, it's a scorecard. It just shows that you're progressing forward, and it helps emotionally and the numbers. And so I think as a scorecard, it's really important. You don't want to have too much debt, obviously, and you want to have your net worth kind of diversified in multiple different. You don't just want to be in one area. In other words, have a really nice house, but have no investments. So there's a lot of that comes into play when you know your net worth.
Yeah, it's like it gives you the ability to stick with a plan. Excellent. Well, there is so much to think about regarding retirement that I'm sure many of our viewers weren't aware of. Let's discuss the next important financial decision that will help you get ahead in planning for your retirement: assessing risk. This should ring a bell for everyone because we touched on it a bit in our last episode of Your Wealth Health, which focused on investment strategies. So please share with us, Eric, how does somebody go about figuring out what their risk tolerance is to help them invest more strategically?
Yeah, and we did talk about it in the last episode, and it is really important because people want to make money when it's time to make money, but they don't want to lose money. So I hear that all the time. I want to make as much as I can and not lose any, but they really need to assess the risk, and it's different for everyone. And what I think is the wrong approach is talking to your neighbor, your friend, your coworker, family member, and what they're invested in. You could be comparing apples and oranges. And so you really just need to understand we can get to a point of, with pretty good certainty, 95% certainty, that with your risk tolerance, that you won't go below this and you won't go above this. So we can get within a pretty good certainty as to what fluctuations you're comfortable with. And so that's one of the 6 key areas in making sure you're in the right risk tolerance.
Now, this next financial decision is one that probably nobody looks forward to dealing with, but it's just inevitable for everybody: updating your last will and testament. And about 5 years ago, my husband and I did this for the first time, and I know that's too late. Just like many, we didn't want to think about it. Explain why, when you should do this, why these documents are so important, and then what we should do with them.
Yeah, so an estate plan in general. So, we have that to update your will, but it's really an estate plan. It includes a will, power of attorney, durable power of attorney, power of attorney for healthcare. It's really important to do for just about everyone. Certainly if you have a young family with young children, it really is important for guardianship. Because if you and your spouse unfortunately pass away, or if you're divorced and you pass away, and there's no legal documents stating where the children are going to go, who's going to take care of the children, then it's up to the courts. And I don't think anybody wants to have courts decide where their children are going to live and who's going to take care of them. So that's really important. Almost 50% of the new folks that we meet don't have a will, or it's way outdated. And so once you have these documents, then updating them or getting them looked at about every 5 years is recommended. So I recommend someone has it reviewed just to make sure that they're updated, because laws change, and you want to make sure that they're fully updated. So those are the documents, the basic documents. We can get into trust and so forth. We'll get into those in future shows, as things change. But you just want to have it really spelled out as to what your wishes are. And we hear about these stories all the time where someone didn't have a will, and it's just been a true nightmare as far as settling the estate.
Wow. Well, now we're on already tough stuff, so to speak. There's another not so fun consideration for a lot of folks when making financial decisions, long-term care for you and your spouse. So if both of you turn 65 today, it sounds like there's a really good chance one of you is going to need long-term care. According to the AARP, 52% of people turning age 65 will need some type of long-term care services in their lifetime. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that is true. And you think about it, because longevity, people are living longer. And I'm sure that all of our viewers, Tracy, know of someone, and probably multiple folks, whether family member, friend, that has needed some form of care. And we're not necessarily saying just in a facility, but maybe at home. And so, it is an issue and it's a cost. And so there's really three groups of people. There's a group of people that can afford the care. And so they'll pay for it along the way. There's people that are close to, they don't have a lot of assets. And so if they need care, they'll get covered by Medicaid, the system. And then there's those in the middle, those people that would really be affected financially if they need it. The issue is that the protection, to protect yourself, that has gotten very expensive. It's not unaffordable, but you really need to take a look at all your options and determine whether or not it's something that, you want to transfer the risk. You don't, as an individual, or you and your spouse don't want to take the risk, and you want to transfer that risk. And it really takes a good analysis to make sure or determine, is that something that you want to do?
That's great information, Eric. And last but not least, the sixth financial decision we're going to discuss today is paying off debt. Now, Steve and I, my husband and I, have been Dave Ramseying, if you will, for a year. We're super close to our goal. When it comes to paying off debt, what words of wisdom do you have for us, Eric?
Yeah, well, good for you, Tracy. That's a great thing. Certainly to be debt free is a good thing, right? It's a great thing. It's an emotional kind of no more debt.
Freedom.
Freedom, right? You don't have to go out and kind of, if something happens, kind of got to make it to pay off the debt. So that's a great thing. With interest rates as low as they are right now, we do have people that carry mortgage debt into retirement. I look at it as it's not a terrible thing. Certainly debt-free is a great thing, but low interest rates right now, environment helps that. So that's another piece of it. What I would say is it must be in control. So you want to make sure that based on your situation, and this is partly based on your net worth and your income sources, it really needs to be in control so that you're not working and living for your debt. And so you want to have a plan in place with that to make sure that, okay, if it's not paid off, when is it going to get paid off? If you have a full paid off house is a good thing, but it's hard to live on your house. You live in your house or your home, but you don't live off of it. Investments you live off of. And so it's a balance. So I would, we oftentimes want to get people, if at all possible, paid off definitely by the time they enter into retirement.
So say someone has a house, for example, how quickly do you suggest they pay it off?
Yeah, I think that there's, you want to go at it pretty quick, but again, there's a balance to get investing going. We've talked on this show about time value of money and the miracle of compounding. And, you don't want to give up years where it could compound. So I think it's really a balance, and it depends on the situation. That's a big piece of it. So there's a balance of investing and letting that grow versus paying the house off. And where does that balance come to from that perspective?
Or trying to have the house paid off before the kids go to college.
Yeah, that's a good goal. That's a great goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this seems like another area where people could use advice from a good fiduciary advisor like yourself and all the advisors at Hilltop. Can you explain what a fiduciary advisor is And I understand you have an offer for our viewers.
Yeah, so a fiduciary advisor is we're registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, and we must act in the best interest of the client. We are registered investment advisors or fiduciary advisors, and we don't sell products. So we don't sell investment products and make commissions. We need to work in the best interest by law. And we think that that's what you want. You want an advisor that works on your side. They're not out to sell you a product, and they're there to help with solutions that are in your best interest on the same side of the table as you. And the offer we have really is just we call it our retirement roadmap. It really takes a look at risk, takes a look at what you're doing. Are you paying off debt? Getting you a roadmap to your goals to make sure that you're making all the best decisions. And they can just go to our website, hilltopwealthsolutions.com, or they can call that number on the screen. That's 633-1476. And you can schedule a 30-minute introductory call with an advisor, find out about your situation, and determine it from there whether or not we can help. If we feel like a roadmap is something that would be valuable to you, there's no cost to do it. We would put together this roadmap and then review it with you and then determine, what maybe needs to be adjusted or changed.
It's a great offer. Well, we are out of time for this edition of Your Wealth Health. For Eric Brenner and the entire Hilltop staff, I'm Tracy Capelman. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. And until then, stay wealthy, everyone. We hope you found this discussion helpful today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for new content weekly.